Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking one of the absolute most critical environmental challenges of our time. But we're not just going to sit here and look at the problem. Nope. We're exploring a really highly structured, actionable solution. We're going to see exactly how the Ocean-Bound Plastics Certification Program is essentially trying to rewrite the economics of pollution. It's a real game changer.
Right out of the gate, I want to hit you with this staggering number, 80%. Take a second to just let that sink in. According to the data, a massive 80% of all plastic marine litter is generated by one very specific source. We so often picture these giant ships dumping trash or microplastics already swirling way out in the deep ocean. But actually, the vast majority of what ends up choking our seas originates from a highly specific category of waste right here on land. We're talking trash blown from overflowing bins, stuff washed down storm drains, or just left abandoned on beaches.
Okay, let's dive into part one, the problem, and defining exactly what ocean-bound plastic is.
The exact definition here is absolutely crucial. Ocean-bound plastic, or OBP for short, is officially defined as plastic waste, quote, at risk of ending up in the ocean. Think of a discarded water bottle sitting in a muddy ditch maybe 30 miles inland. This certification program isn't about sending fleets of ships to scoop trash from the open water. No, it's a preventative strike. It targets marine litter before it ever even hits the water.
But here's the massive roadblock we run into. Most of this ocean-bound plastic literally does not have a commercial value. Think about the basic economics of it. Nobody is rushing out to hoard dirty, degraded plastic bags because there's just zero financial incentive to pick them up. So, what happens? It sits on beaches, it washes into rivers, and eventually, it becomes that 80% of marine litter we just talked about. The system is completely broken because the math of collecting it simply doesn't add up.
Which brings us to part two, the solution, and adding value through certification.
To really get how this works, we gotta look at the architects behind it. Enter the Zero Plastic Oceans Initiative, or ZPO. They're an NGO based in Sti-Marie-de-Ré, France. ZPO was founded by people who were just deeply concerned by the ever-increasing plastic pollution threatening our environment. But instead of just raising awareness, they actually went and created a functional economic engine. They built a model that allows companies to directly finance the collection of this ocean-bound plastic.
So the whole core mission of the OBP Certification Program is to encourage removal by artificially injecting value right back into the system. By creating this certified standard, that previously worthless piece of plastic sitting on the shoreline, it suddenly has a quantifiable, verifiable worth to companies looking to offset their footprint. The certification itself becomes the incentive to go out and clean it up. They are basically turning trash into a valuable asset.
Let's move on to part three, exploring the OBP certification subprograms.
So the program is broken down into two main subprograms. First up, you've got the OBP Recycling Certification subprogram. This is for organizations that are physically taking this at-risk plastic and processing it into new materials. Second is the OBP Neutrality Certification subprogram. Think of this kind of like carbon credits, but for plastic. It allows organizations to offset their own plastic footprint by financing the removal of OBP. So, it's two different avenues, but they both share one unified goal of cleaning up the coastline.
But they didn't just stop at the environmental impact. Actually, both of these subprograms can be combined with something they call the Social Plus OBP component. This was recently released by the team, and it layers a really important community-focused benefit right on top of the environmental ones. It ensures fair wages and safe working conditions for the local waste pickers on the ground, so it really gives the certification a lot of moral and human weight alongside its ecological goals.
All right, part four, the global partnership ecosystem. Because, let's be real, a standard built-in total isolation isn't going to change the world. This certification was developed by Zero Plastic Oceans in direct partnership with Control Union, and as you can see, it relies on a massive global coalition. We're talking contributors like HHI, OceanWorks, the Race for Water Foundation, Tonto Ton, and supporters like Suez Central America and Caribbean. It's a globally recognized, deeply vetted initiative that is backed by absolute heavy hitters in environmental protection and corporate sustainability.
Let's see how this builds into part 5. How to participate, specifically looking at user journeys.
If you're an organization looking to jump in, they've mapped out 3 super clear, actionable steps depending on what exactly you are trying to achieve. It really makes a complex global issue easily navigatable. Step 1, getting certified, which is for those who actually handle the plastic on the ground. Step 2, verifying information, for those demanding transparency. And step 3, finding a supplier, for companies looking to integrate this into their supply chain. Now, if you are on that second step, verifying information, transparency is literally right at your fingertips. Users can go view the public list of certified organizations to see exactly who is playing by the rules. You can check the OBP credit registry to track the flow of those neutrality credits, and you can access all the foundational OBP program documents right there. It's a completely open book. And honestly, that is just absolutely vital for maintaining trust in a world that is rightfully a bit skeptical of greenwashing these days.
On the flip side, if your organization is actively trying to improve its footprint and you're on step 3, finding a supplier, you've got two main options based on those sub-programs we discussed earlier. You can use the network to directly source physical, recycled OBP products to use in your own manufacturing. Or you can find authorized traders to purchase OBP plastic credits to help achieve your plastic neutrality goals. The entire infrastructure is right there to smoothly connect the demand with the supply.
And here is a really timely update from the source that proves this is a dynamic program. The new OLBP brand standard is currently under public consultation. This is basically an open invitation to the broader community. They are actively seeking public input to refine and perfect how brands actually communicate their involvement. It just shows that this initiative is constantly adapting to the latest global needs and listening to feedback.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway for this explainer. We started out learning that ocean-bound plastic accounts for a massive 80% of marine litter, largely because it just sits on the ground with zero commercial value. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If the root of this massive global crisis is simply a lack of economic incentive, how might assigning worth to the worthless, through this exact kind of rigorous certification, fundamentally change the future of our oceans? It's an incredibly powerful theory of change. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.